What's going on, guys? No Guides here. Welcome back to another video. Here we got a game where basically is a walkthrough. I'm going to show some attacking as well. As I said, I want to go through the attacking tutorial as soon as possible. But I wanted to get through the basics of defending first. It's important you defend the right way, because once you get, for example, to gold 1, there are, for example, more newbie ways of defending where you control the striker, but it's important you defend the right way first. That way you'll excel in the future. It's very important that, as I said, I went through defending first, because attack you can always basically improve and you can always outscore your opponent, truthfully speaking. But defending is one of the hardest things in a game, and it's best to defend properly. So right now I'm playing a 4-2-3-1 second variation. The reason why the formation is, so basically, generally speaking, when it comes to D-pad tactics, it takes some time for a formation to change. It doesn't happen instantly. So here, for example, you're going to see I get the ball in midfield, and I think I go forward and I lose the ball. Now, in case you can see, for example, here, now I changed to ultra defensive for in the first minute, right? As you can see, I'm playing a 4-3-3. Now, generally speaking, when you change to a D-pad tactic, for example, here, as soon as the game started, I changed to ultra defensive in the bottom left, which is my 4-2-3-1 second variation tactic, the one on the left mid and right mid. It takes some time for a formation to change. Sometimes it takes 10 minutes in game if the ball doesn't go out of play. If the ball does go out of play or out of bounds, or there's a set piece, generally speaking, the formation changes instantly. As you can see here, the four left mid 2 CDMs, the right mid, and the cam and a striker. Now I'm defending, I set up in quadrants. So just to give you an example, my right back, my left back, my 2 CDMs, my left mid, my right mid, my cam, my striker. Now when you want to be aggressive, you can be aggressive with any of these outfield players. Any of these outfield players, if the ball is over here, you can be aggressive with your striker. You can be aggressive with your left mid. That's fine. Once the ball gets into this position, you don't want to be aggressive with your left back, because then you're going to create a massive gap in your defense. The same with, for example, the balls here. If you be aggressive with your CDM, you're going to create a massive gap in CDM. So the key is, when you're defending, is you need to understand when you're in a defensive position, for example, for example, the 2 CDMs or your center backs are left exploited. Do not be aggressive with those players. If the ball is here, you can be aggressive with your left mid, because you still have the rest of your team to basically, I suppose you can say, rescue yourself, if that makes sense. Once you have the opponent has the ball here and you create a gap, that's it. If you create a gap here, your opponent's through on goal, and that's it. It's done. If the ball is over here and you create a massive gap here because you overpress, let's say the ball is over here and you overpress, that's fine, because you still have your players in position. Now, I generally break up the players in quadrants, so I assign different quadrants. So, for example, if the ball is anywhere in this position, I'll use my striker. If the ball is anywhere in this position, I'll use my right mid. If the ball is anywhere in this position, I'll use my left mid. If the ball is in the middle, I'll use my cam. That's the kind of way I set up my players. The same with using a 4-4-2. I set up like this. So like this in quadrants as well. So like that, and like that. So again, if the ball is over here anywhere in this position, I use my right striker. If the ball is anywhere over here, I use my left striker. If the ball is over here, I use my left mid, and vice versa. Now in the 4-4-2, there's no middle player. So if the ball is over here in the middle of the pitch, I don't bring my CDM out of position. As I said, you only be aggressive with your outfield players. You have a choice. You can bring any of these players forward. But generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, try to always use your striker and defend with your striker. That way you can keep your left mid and right mid in shape. So what I'm trying to explain to you, and the reason why I'm showing you this, is that if you're playing a 4-2-3-1, let's just say you are, generally speaking, try to defend with your striker first. Then let's say the ball is over here, and then when you can't use your striker, then use your cam. If the ball is over here, for example, and let's say for example the ball is over here, and the ball is in between all 3 of your players, although your right mid might be the closest person towards the ball on paper, it's always good to choose your striker first and defend with your striker first, because that way you keep your right mid in position. Because if the ball is over here, although let's say the ball is over here and there's shorter distance towards your so should I say your left mid, for example, here, right? Although you can defend against your opponent's right mid, for example, over here, if, for example, you drag this player out of position and this player gets beaten, then you have a massive gap on your whole, your left-hand side. You see what I'm saying? But let's just say, for example, you basically had time and you could bring back your striker. If, for example, he beats your striker, then you still have your other left mid in position. You see what I'm trying to say? And obviously, it depends on certain situations. Sometimes, they might be right next to your player and your striker might be, for example, it might be a situation where like the ball is over here, for example, here, and your opponent's here, and your striker's, for example, up here. Then obviously you use, for example, your left mid. But what I'm trying to say is try to defend with your outer field players first, and then defend with your outfield players. When it comes to your CDMs and your fullbacks, do not be aggressive with these players. As I said, with your cams, whether you're playing a 4-2-3-1, a 4-4-2, or 4-1-2-1-2, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you want to be aggressive, you can be aggressive with any of the outfield players. When it comes to the CDM in a 4-1-2-1-2 or the 4-2-3-1, you don't want to be aggressive, because as soon as you be aggressive with either one of these players and you make a gap, you're in big, big trouble. So I'm just going to go through this game. We're going to continue this. So the first thing I see is here, again, I have to look at what players on the pitch. So in my opinion, this whole quadrant is assigned to my striker. Realistically, the only passing option he has, because I have my player already here, so I basically moved my player to this position to block this passing lane, so he can force the ball and pass to this player or this player. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm doing here is I'm limiting his options. So what I'm doing here, so I'll show you the first thing I do is I select my striker and I mark this passing lane. So he's going to look at the first person. So basically, I want to mark this basically passing lane here. So I'm intercept this passing lane. So what I'm doing here is that I wait as soon as he basically upped his power bar. So basically, he from my opponent's side. So understand this. He from my opponent's side, he saw I'm running to this player, so he wants to pass either to player A or player B. You see what I'm saying? He wants to avoid passing to here. So as soon as I basically saw that he's loading up his power and he started to make animation, I then run to basically block this passing lane over here, as you can see. So I run to block that passing lane over there. And what I do here is I then choose, as you can see, my left mid. And because this player is unmarked and he's on the left-hand side, he's in the left quadrant, I use my left mid to basically block out that area. You see that? So basically, again, so as you can see, subconsciously when I'm playing, I'm assigning players to quadrant. So here, cover in the middle, the ball's might go, for example, down here as well. So I switch to the player and I choose the left-hand side. By the way, ignore the controls that I'm playing just for now. There is still a glitch. By the way, if you ever see me press X when I'm defending, just to give you an example, that if you ever see me press X or A, I'm actually meant to press B. I'm actually meaning to press circle or B. So every time only when I'm defending. So every time you see me tackling for the ball and I press A or X, I'm actually pressing B. It's just a visual glitch, but that's only for defending. But anyway, so for example here, here's an example. I try to use my striker first. So for example here, as you can see, use my left mid to defend here. Now again, although my cam is the closest person in this quadrant, right? As I said, in terms of the assigned quadrants, right? That's my left mid, that's my right mid, that's my cam. Now, although my cam is the closest person to select, I still keep my striker. Why? Because you want to defend with your outer strikers, your outer outfield players first. Basically, you want to start from the top, from your striking players, and then you want to go to your defense last. Think of it from like a number board, right? So basically, you want to start defending with your strikers first, and then worst case scenario, you defend with your defense. Think about it like in chess. Imagine like in chess, you can argue to some extent, your outfield players are your pawns, and then when it comes to your CDMs, they're like your kings or your bishops, etc. I mean, your bishops, for example, and then your centre backs. Your centre backs are like the kings and the queens. You don't want to use your kings and the queens unless you absolutely need to. Worst case scenario, maybe not the best of analogies, to be honest, thinking about it, but you understand the point I'm trying to say. So here, the reason why I chose Neymar is that if you select Neymar, now AI, if the player is not selected, the player will run back into the position. So the reason why I chose Neymar here, or my striker, is that as you can see, we're going to focus on my left mid here, as you can see, as soon as I deselect my left mid, so here, I deselect my left, so here, I select my left mid, I run towards him. As soon as I deselect my left mid, now watch my left mid. See how he runs back into position? Now that's the benefit of not selecting a player. So that's why sometimes, if for example a player is out of position, I try to switch to another player. Now in this situation, why I chose Neymar is because, again, I didn't want to choose, because if I chose, for example, Nedved, right, and I push with this player, he's closer to the ball in theory and he's got a higher chance of winning the ball before Neymar. But you see, if I drag him out of position, let's say this player doesn't exist anymore, then he's got a free pass across the pitch. So as you can see, he's already occupying a passing lane. So that's the reason why I don't choose him. I want to choose Neymar. You see what I'm saying? Because Neymar's not doing anything. So always defend with your outfield players first, as you can see. Now this is a very unfortunate situation. As I said, the game was extremely laggy. So here, as you can see, watch the right analog stick on the controller. We're going to slow it down. Now this is one of the bad situations. I tried to change my CDM using L1, doesn't switch. I then aim the right analog stick to the top right, so I'm using ball relative, so it takes into account where the ball is. I'm aiming to the top left of the ball, and that should be going towards Kante. So Kante should be selected, but people always ask me, why don't player switching work? It's just a game. The game is just broken. Unfortunately, I'm just like you, I suffer as well. Too many times I'm in a game and I concede a goal solely because of player switching. Now, truthfully speaking, there's no way of fixing this. In squad battles or offline game modes, player switching is a bit better. But in online game modes, right stick player switching, unfortunately, is broken. There's nothing we can do about it because it's completely EA's fault. So that's the reason why your players don't switch, in case you're wondering. Now, as you can see here, I couldn't switch to Kante. I try again with the right analog stick, as you can see. So we're gonna show it again here. Right analog stick, press L1 doesn't change. Switch to it again, doesn't change. Press the right analog stick to the top left again and switch to Kante. Still doesn't change because of the get broken game. Finally changed to Kante after pressing L1. By that time, it's too late to change to Kante. Do my absolute best to cut the passing lane. Move my player up to cut the passing lane. He ends up playing a ball through. Very unlucky, my player didn't get it. But at the end of the day, it was a good ball. These goals, okay, yes, you can argue at this moment, I tried to switch to Kante almost 3 times. Once with L1, once with the right analog stick, once with the right analog stick again, and then finally with L1. So you can argue after 3 attempts of change to Neymar, on my 4th attempt it happened, and that's the reason I conceded a goal. By the end of the day, it is part of the game. Everyone's suffering from it. You have to deal with it. Believe me, I hate it so much, especially because for me, I like to defend very acutely, very kind of like drifting fullbacks, acutely kind of angles. But at the end of the day, look, he played a good pass. I tried my best to defend against it, and he scored regardless. Now, when it comes to kickoff, so now this is an example, right? Now, as I said, we're going to go into the attacking tutorials, right? The key thing is not losing your head. Now, the reason why I show you this example, this was a stupid mistake I made running out with Kyle Walker. It was mainly due to lag. But this is a mistake that can happen in the game. Now, I know it's hard, believe me, but the key thing is keeping your head. It's keeping your cool. When you're losing, you need to remember there's still time in the game. Just look at the time and think to yourself, okay, you know what? I still got a lot of time in the game. The best advice I can give to you, if you're someone that gets agitated very easily, at this moment, just don't kick off straight away. Just wait. Remember, you can wait for as long as you want. Not as long as you want. You can wait to up to 20 seconds, I think. So you can legit stand there for like 20 seconds. So when you concede, and especially it's a goal like how I conceded now, which we both know, you and I watching this, that I did nothing wrong here. I defended the correct way. I couldn't select Kante here. I could not select Kante one bit. And by the time I changed to Cancelo, it was too late. So although it was a good pass, at the end of the day, the goal wasn't my fault. Now, if this happens to you, the key thing is when you get to this screen, if he wants to watch all his replay, if he wants to shush you, just look away. Look at your phone, look at something else. Do not look at the screen. Don't get pissed off. Now, when you get to the situation here from kickoff, just legit Just wait as long as possible. Don't press anything on your controller. You have about 20 seconds until AI starts passing the ball itself. Be very patient. That's the key. Just be patient. Get your head in check. Cool down. If you're still angry, pause the game. Honestly, the biggest reason why people lose in this game is temperament. Because you see, when you're losing, and let's say, for example, going back to the 4-2-3-1 shape, right? If you're losing and you get angry, you start doing stupid things like bringing your CDM out of position, or let's say the ball is over here. Instead of choosing your ideally speaking, your left mid to defend, because like if the ball is here and here, for example, you shouldn't be using your left back or right back. You should be using your right mid. The reason why is if you use your right back, you're creating a massive hole in defense. That's your last line of defense. You can't be aggressive with these players. Same with your CDMs, be creating a massive gap. So you have to choose, for example, a left mid or right mid. But when you're angry, you start bringing out your left back and you create a massive gap and your opponent exploits you. This game is like that. People like to get you angry. So do not let the game get to your head. So if you're one that gets very angry, just wait here, wait 30 seconds. But I play on anyway because I'm just used to it. But I make a grave mistake here. End up recovering. That was more of a tactical foul, to be honest. Now we get a free kick. Now this is a defending example I've not gone over, but again the same thing applies. What I like to do, you can move players out the wall. We'll kind of get onto that in another video. But what I like to do, I like to man mark basically the key players. That's what I like to do. So like if I had time, I'd bring that player there and I'd bring that player there. Therefore cutting out his passing options and forcing him to either make a risky pass over here or forcing him to kind of cross it inside the box. Now obviously if he brings a second and third player, it's a different situation. And we'll get onto that in a video in the future. But as you can see here, I just kind of cut the passing lane to that player. As you can see, I just cut that passing lane over here. And he ends up making the chip pass. And to be honest, he nearly catches me out. I should have in all honesty followed the player. But he does make a chip pass. Now the key thing is being patient. Now as you can see here, when I get the ball, the first thing I do is, now we're going to go into attacking situations, but I thought I'll just make this walkthrough just to kind of give you what's going inside my head as a preliminary kind of walkthrough before I get into my gameplay example or my attacking examples, what to do. Now here, most players, they make a first time pass. As you can see, I'd be very patient here. I dribble, I turn back, I wait for my opponent, see what options I have. I see that I have one option down here. Now this is actually, in hindsight, this is a risky ball to play. This is actually a very risky ball to play. But I think it was because of the lag. I actually wanted him to pass down normally like that. But I think it was because of the lag. By the time the pass actually happened, like by the time I pressed triangle and like as you can see, kind of took an extra touch. I didn't really intend for that to happen. Anyway, as you can see, the key thing is being patient. If you find there's an opponent in your way, you go back, okay? Just understand, if you ever see your opponent, for example, like here, just go back. Please just go back. See here, for example, the biggest mistake people make is that they'll try to challenge this player. Just pass back. Simple, pass back. And as you can see here, I regroup. This is also known as recycling the play. Now, instead of running to my opponent, I see there's someone blockading or barricading, or blockading should be the correct terminology, the direction I want to go. So I pass back, I wait for reinforcements, and then I create more space. I do a simple 1-2, simple fake shot, and I try playing a cheeky through ball, which was risky, but it was a good ball. He defended that very clearly. And as I said here, you can be very aggressive with your players. Now, in this aspect here, Ben Yedder is meant to be over here. As you can see, that's my cam, that's my striker, that's my left mid, and my right mid, who's meant to be Ben Yedder, is meant to be over here. Because he's out of position, as I said, with quadrants, it's completely fine. You can be aggressive with your outfield players, as I said. If you want to move players out of position, you can do that with your outfield players, because I still have my 2 CDMs intact. That's the key thing. So I try to cut the passing lanes out. As soon as I select my CDMs, as soon as the ball goes away for them, see how I select my outfield player again? I don't continue selecting my CDMs. You see what I'm saying? I don't continue selecting my CDMs. Now, here again, another situation where lag plagues me. I basically run towards the ball, but you know how terrible this game is. It decides to run away from the ball. God knows why. That's also due to player move assistance. If your player move assistance is on high, there's a higher chance that your player actually runs in the right direction. So AI basically assists you, and that's why I said to leave it either on low or high in my first controller setting. Remember I told you in the controller setting tutorial to leave it on low and high? That is the reason why. But anyway, regardless, I have it on off in this instance, as you can see, and that's the reason why I lost the ball. But anyway, I retained the ball anyway here. So you see here, instead of rushing and passing back to either one of the players in midfield, instead of passing here, I'd be very patient. You see that? Be patient, be very patient, let him come to me, and I pass downwards. See here? Now here, again, now he's cutting the passing lane. Now again, I'd be very patient. Now what I look for now is on the radar. Now, you see, this is the benefits of using the co-op camera angle. You see, your opponent can basically see less than me, right? Now watch what your opponent does. You see how my opponent basically runs backwards? It's because he never saw this pass coming. He never saw this pass because he's using the using the tele camera angle. By the time he saw the pass, it was too late for him to react. That's the benefits of using co-op. You see much more of the pitch. Now what I saw here was the radar. Now here I realized I was in trouble. So basically, as soon as I got the ball here, I saw here, obviously, the player. I looked at the radar, and the first thing I looked at, I saw there was a player over there. So what I did is I knew I was in trouble here. And basically, before I even got the ball, he cut the passing lane already. So he's a very good defender. So here, before I even got the ball, he cut the passing lanes. So the only option I had was to run forward that way. So basically, I ran forward, I was patient, and I looked on a radar, and I saw, you know what? There's a person on the radar that I can see, and it's my left mid, and I did a driven through ball. Driven through ball is an R2 and Y pass. It's basically a powerful pass, but it's curved. It's got much more power. We'll go over this in another video when I release a tutorial on passing. But a driven pass is a very powerful pass. It's got a lot of power behind it, and it's very, very good for basically going in behind, getting a ball in behind down the wing. It's mainly used down the wing. For example, here as you can see, the very good driven pass. He basically ran backwards because he's on co-op camera angle, or he didn't react in time. Again here, see how I don't run. The key is when you get into the final third, try not to run too much. Now you see, in this instance, I could run because I suppose you can say there's no one near me, right? But as soon as I kind of get people close to me, you see how I let go of the run button? Only use the run button when you absolutely need to. You see, when you use the run button, you're basically, number one, you're rushing your play. Number two, you're losing control of the ball, because if, for example, you take a shot, or let's say you make a pass when you're running, your accuracy gets decreased, right? You have more control of the ball when you're not running. So here, I'm running into the space. Basically, what I'm trying to run into the space. As soon as I realized that his defender is close enough to recover, as you can see over here, I slow down. You see that? I get off the run button, I start dribbling. See how I'm basically tiptoeing now? Just using the left analog stick, see that? So here, being accurate, making sure my pass is accurate here. Now the reason why, if I carried on running now, let's say at this instance, if I carried on running here, I would have probably ran into my opponent, or I would have ran over here, and I would have got to this position too quickly, and my opponent would have been, my other player, which is outside the box, would have been too far away to get into the box. You see, he's too far away to get into the box. See, that's why you had to jog. I had to play for time. See, it wasn't just an instance of not running. If I could carry on running and I made the pass, Nedved is too far away. I had to basically slow down and had to wait for Nedved to make the run into the box. You see that? So that's how I did the ball roll. I was playing for time. You see that? So what I was doing here in this instance, as soon as I got into the space, I was playing for time, playing very slow, looking at I wasn't looking at my player, I was looking at where Nedved is. I was looking at him, and I was looking at where he was running, playing for time. And what I saw in my head, so I explained to you what I saw here, so I'm just going to speed up again. What I saw here was Nedved, and I saw him running. He was too far away, firstly, but also I saw this defender was basically blockading Nedved. Nedved wasn't running like this. He was running into the defender. So the only option I had was to pass to Neymar. Again, because Nedved was too far away, and the longer I waited here, if I played a through ball here, there's a big chance that player would have got it. And even then, the longer I waited, this player would have kind of basically cut back. You see that? You see what happened was here against my opponent. So he's defending here. He's defending the right way. He sees what I did. So then he would have come back and he would have cut that passing lane. So the only option I had was Neymar, and I end up scoring. It was a lofted pass, which is a dinked pass, which I'll go over again in the tutorial. Again, I get the pass, get a bit lucky. His defender didn't. I suppose it was AI defending there. He changed to the wrong defender. So in a sense, it was a good goal either way. And in case you're wondering what I did here, again, this will be another tutorial again. As I said, this is just a walkthrough, a preliminary before I get into attacking tutorials, just to give you a brief understanding on gameplay. For example, here, what I did here, in case you don't know, is I'm just going to show you a quick trick. Here, I pressed L1. Now, what does L1 do? L1 forces a player to make a run in behind. So if your players are ever stagnant or they're not running, you can basically press the left L1 button and you can basically select a player. So here, I move my analog stick to the top left. So the top left is over here. So what I want basically is I'm staying to the game. I'm looking at this guy on the top left and I'm pressing L1. And the reason why I'm pressing L1 is I want him to trigger him to make a run. So I want this player to make a run going forward. The way I do that is I tell the game I want to press L1. L1's the button to trigger players to make runs forward. Now, obviously, if I press L1 now, it will basically make Neymar to make a run in behind. So what I do is I basically use the left analog stick, and the left analog stick, not the right analog stick. So here, I see Nedved in the top right corner, and I'm thinking in my head, okay, here, I want to make the pass to Nedved. So I aim the left analog stick to the top right, and I press L1. Now I want you to focus. Now you see how Nedved puts his hand out? Now again, focus on Nedved. I'll make a tutorial on this, don't worry. So as you can see Nedved puts his hand out? That means he's understood the instruction and he's going to make a run forward. That's how you trigger players to make runs forward. So he makes the run forward, unfortunately he's too far behind, and end up scoring anyway regardless. So that's that goal. Just to give you a brief example. Good goal in the end, I think, regardless. Now when you're defending kickoff, generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, I defended it the wrong way here, just ignore what I did. You want to get your striker, so remember who your striker is, and you want to run back with your striker. The reason why is, let's say you're playing a 4-2-3-1, that's your defensive line, that's your cam, and that's your striker. If you defend with your CDM and you from kickoff and you run, let's say for example the halfway line's here, and you basically run to the halfway line, you're basically creating a massive gap in your CDM. Therefore, the only player that's not creating a gap is your strikers. If you run back with your striker and you defend however you want, I just say run back with your CDM, run and jockey back. That way you still maintain your 2 CDMs in shape, your 3 cams in shape, and you're picking the most outfield player in this instance, which is the correct player to choose to defend with. That's the best way to defend kickoff, but in this example, I wasn't really thinking about that. As you can see, I just kind of rushed, made a mistake in the end, but recovered in the end. Again, this is a very silly pass that I made. I should have controlled the ball first. This is why people can see a lot of games. They make silly passes like this. This is just, again, this is not a tutorial that I intended to basically record. I was recording some footage for a specific tutorial, but I ended up just thought, you know what, I just show you the walkthrough for this game. So here again, I'm in trouble. So again, I pass back. See, if I'm in trouble, just see how I pass downwards. There's no one to pass to. See how he's pressing me extremely well. See that? He's pressing me very well. Very good player. I pass downwards. See that? I'm very patient. Control the ball. Make sure I don't do quick 1-2s, quick flicks. I control the ball first, pass it. Control the ball first, pass it. Control the ball first, face the player, pass it. You see that? See, if you compare that in contrast to this measly pass over here, where I'm not even facing my player, I want to pass to this person over here. I'm not even facing him, and the ball doesn't go to him. That is completely my fault. You see what I'm saying? So the key is when you're making passes, you want to be facing the player. So here, opponent, as I said, runs past me. I collect the ball. Again, very stupid pass. Again, see that mistake I made? But then as soon as I control the ball, face my player, pass, control the ball, face my player, pass, control the ball, face the player who I want to pass to, then pass. See that? Again, control the ball first, turn around, face the player I want to pass to, then pass. You're reducing, eliminating errors. So here, remember I told you L1 to trigger the player to make a run in behind. Again, I use it here. See that? See my player's making a run? So just to show you, going to slow it down. You're going to see me press L1. See, make the pass. See that L1 button I pressed? I don't know if you saw it. You might have just about missed it. Before the ball even got to my player, I did it. You see that? Before the ball even got to my player, look at my controller. Did a through ball. I'm just trying to catch the exact frame. See that? Now, as you can see on my controller, again, I'm telling the game, you know what? I want to choose this player, so where the ball is, I want to choose this player, and I want him to make a run in behind. So I'm selecting a player, and I'm pressing L1, which basically tells it to make a run forward, and he starts pushing his arm out, just like in the previous example with Nedved, as you can see here. So because he's standing still, I don't want it. This is a situation that you're allowed, for example, your player is stagnant, standing still. Again, I'm like, you know what, I want you to run forward. So I press L1. As you can see, he brings his arm out and he starts running. Now, I don't know if you guys knew this. I'm presuming some of you may know this. I know many of you guys are in silver. Many of you guys are in gold 3. Some of you guys are in gold 2. Many even players in gold 1 don't know this. As I said, all these tutorials will be made and will be released and very soon. But as I said, I wanted to create a preliminary first, just to give you an example of what's to see as in all. As you can see here, then I do a driven pass. So as you can see, so what I do here, trigger him to make a run in behind. He then makes the run. He's like, okay, press him to run forward. And here I'll just wait for him to basically look in the radar, seeing. And as you can see, my right mid is occupying his right back. Therefore, Jordi Alba's clean free. So what I'm doing in this instance is I'm just waiting basically for Jordi Alba to make the run. I'm waiting for Jordi Alba to make the run. And basically AI starts tracking other players. You can see AI starts tracking Jordi Alba, as you can see that. By that time, Jordi Alba is clean through. So what I'm doing is I'm waiting for Jordi Alba to get past that final defender and not be offside. So again, I'm focusing on Jordi Alba. And now I'm predicting it. So here. So for example here, Jordi Alba making a run. So here, now I know by the time I get to the ball and this pass executes, Jordi Alba will be about here and the last defender's here, so I'm still going to be onside. This is a combat experience. I do basically a driven pass, which is it's an R1 pass, should I say. So it's basically the finesse shot modifier button. And it's a driven pass. It's basically a fast ball, a fast through ball, mainly for long balls, and it's got really good curve, especially for down the wing. I do a driven pass, as you can see, is a kind of a low power driven pass. The game, I don't know what really happened. As you can see, I put a lot of power in, but the game being the game, for example, this auto pass distance, pass to the wrong person, would have been clean through there. But you see now, I need to be wary now. You see, this is one thing. You need to always remember what player is selected. Now, I know this is Jordi Alba. Now, if the longer I have the ball with Jordi Alba, I'm in trouble. Because if I lose the ball with Jordi Alba here, that means that my centre-back, my other centre-back, I got no right-back. You see that? Because Jordi Alba is over here. So I got a massive gap in defense. If you look on the radar, basically the way it's lined up is my other centre back is basically over here. So you can't see him, it's off screen, but I'll kind of mark it on a radar for you. So we got one centre back here, one centre back here, and one centre back here. We've got two strikers. Now I got one centre back here, and I got one centre back off screen over here. Because I got no right back, there's a massive space now if I lose the ball with Jordi Alba. You see that? Now, I don't know why, and I think the game just glitched out. This game was just a really stupid game. Like, the game was lagging. There were so many issues with this game. Remember how I showed you, for example, in the controller settings, you should always have the player name above the player's head. That way you know which player you're selecting. Is very, very important, because now it saves me from looking down the bottom right. Now, see, if you don't have the player name selected, you have to keep looking at the bottom right the entire time. But because I knew that it was Jordi Alba, I knew Jordi Alba was there, so I was like, okay, you know what, that's my left back. So if I lose the ball here, I'm in big trouble. And if he wins the ball over here, he can basically pass to this guy. This guy will basically be completely through down the wing. So here I have to be my key is I want to get rid of the ball straight away. So what I do here is I play it safe. So here, See, he's coming towards me, so I turn away. And in turn, what I'm doing as well is I'm waiting for the pass from Bernard. You see that? So my Bernard, so again, it's just simple with the L1 button again. See this? So I play a driven pass. And I don't know if you saw that again. Again, going back to the L1 example over here. Just gonna I think we missed it just about again. We're going to slow it down. So here, driven pass is now being played. I'm onside. Now I know I'm going to win the ball first. Again, we just missed it again, unfortunately. But you saw what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying, right? You see how I pressed the L1 button? As soon as I make the pass, trying to catch it at the exact moment. Fingers crossed we can get it now. Finally, we get it. As you can see, same thing as last time. I want this player over here, so I want to select this player. Where's this player? He's basically on the to top. By the time the ball gets me, he's kind of going to be on the leftish. But he's the only player near me, so I kind of aimed it the wrong way. I should have aimed this top right, but either way, the game kind of rectified who it was. I want him to make a run in behind in the gap. So what am I doing is I press L1, and that will allow him to make a run. So as you can see, I've shown you many examples of me pressing L1. So I get the ball here. As you can see, he puts his hand out. And this all came subconsciously. As soon as I made that through ball, with Kyle Walker, as soon as I made that through ball over there, and I triggered Kyle Walker, and I made Jordi Alba. By the way, I'm playing Semedo and Kyle Walker in centre back. That's why you're like, why the hell is Kyle Walker in centre back? It's because I'm actually playing him in centre back. So as soon as I made this L1 pass, as soon as I made this pass, so for example here, as soon as this happened here, I knew straight away that's my left back, just because of where he was positioned, right? Because remember, it all came from that dodgy pass. Remember, it all came from that dodgy pass. Made controlled pass. Obviously, that's my left back. I can see in my peripheral vision because I'm using co-op camera angle where my left back is. As soon as I send him forward here, my first impression is he's my fullback. I don't want to go all the way with him. So I'm thinking, you know what? If I lose the ball, my fullback, I'm in trouble. So I trigger this guy to make the run. So what I do here, I see the defenders near me. I'm like, okay, I'm in trouble now. So I kind of aim downwards to kind of protect the ball. In that time, I'm buying time. For this player to make a run in between. As you can see here, he's making a run. And then here, because he's left-footed, I get Jordi was on his left foot. So I get the ball on the left foot and I play the through ball. You see that? So it all drags from simple here. So I'll walk you through it there again. Simple here. Pass down, controlled, pass down, trigger so I trigger here, Jordi Alba here, gets triggered, Jordi Alba's making a run, do a driven pass to Jordi Alba here, next thing I'm thinking, okay, you know what, I got to trigger this guy, Jordi Alba, play for time, wait for this guy to become in a more attacking position, go forward, turn away, wait for this guy, he's clean through now, this player is far away, he's clean through for the through ball, play the through ball, and then I get him behind again. Now again, see here, I don't run. I'm very patient with the ball. I wait to see my players. As you can see now, I realize that I got no one to pass to. My players are basically running too far ahead, as you can see here. So here, for example, here, as you can see, my striker's on get it behind. So that's why his hand is out. So the L1 button triggers players to make runs manually forward. If the players already have their instruction, for example, in a 4-2-3-1, my striker instructions on getting behind, so he's going to look to get in behind, that's why he's making a run, and I try to play a through ball and it gets anticipated. You see that? Unluckily. Now here, I know Jordi Alba is now out of position. I know Bernard is now out of position. You see, if this was Jordi Alba and I lost the ball here with Jordi Alba, then right now I'll have a massive gap on the right hand side, and he could basically pay a simple ball to this guy, trigger this player to make a run forward, and he can make a through ball, and he's basically completely clean through. But because I basically stopped the running with Jordi Alba, remember how basically I converted here from Jordi Alba, had the ball, I said, you know what, he's a risk if I lose the ball, plus he can't attack or shoot anyway. So I make a pass to Bernard. Jordi Alba runs back to the right back position and he's reinforced. So now Jordi Alba, the way he's positioned, now here, this is Kyle Walker, he's my centre back, he's pushed out of position. Now again, as soon as I realize Kyle Walker's out of position, the first thing on my mind is, this guy needs to get back into the centre back position. You never want to break your back four. You always want to keep your back four position. If there's a gap in your back four like Kyle Walker is over here, my plan is I want him to go back. There's two things you can do. One is you can run back and drag him back manually. That's the first thing you can do. Or two, you can select another player, for example, like Nedved, and then what your centre back will do is you run back manually. So as you can see here, as soon as I realised that that's Kyle Walker on the ball, I switched to Bernard, and as you can see now, Kyle Walker swiftly runs back into his centre back position. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where your fullback is caught out of position, let's say you're being over aggressive, or you have an instruction on one of them to get forward or whatever, here I realise he's out of position. So what I do is I select another player and I basically kind of force him to so basically here, switch another player, switch to Allen, be aggressive. I have to be aggressive in my CDM here because my centre back's out of position. Wait for my centre back to recover. Then as soon as my centre back is recovered, I basically then play a bit more conservative. Now here again, it's all about playing it slowly. Now I'm probably going to end the video soon because this is already coming up to 40 minutes and we're not even 15 minutes of the way through in the game. But as you can see here, we're probably going to end this, I suppose you can say, in the next set piece. So here, we have the ball with Allen. Again, very conservative. If you're ever in a situation here where there's risk, you can make a pass that way, but you have to bear in mind that Allen is right-footed. So whichever play you have here, that's the benefit of having players with a 5-star weak foot. They can make a pass either way. I knew Allen had a 3-star weak foot. That's why I couldn't take a risk of kind of doing a lobbed pass, which is basically a square pass over here, or an X pass, just in case I'll get anticipated. Ideally, looking back now, I should have probably passed back to a goalkeeper. That's kind of the best thing to do. Is if you're ever in trouble like this and you're getting pressed, just pass back to your goalkeeper. However, I had the confidence to kind of dribble. In my opinion, I had the confidence to dribble and pass to my right back, and again I had time to recover. As you can see here, didn't rush, had no one to pass to, dribbled up away from my opponent and made a pass into the position. As you can see, it was kind of an overpowered pass. Ended up not being a really good pass in the end. I did a through ball. I didn't mean to do. I pressed triangle or Y. I meant to do an X pass, but ended up doing a through ball. Ended up losing the ball. Now again, this is one of the instances. Now again, you can decide if you wanted to run or you wanted to use your CDM. Now ideally, because you're meant to have two CDMs, because that CDM is over here, you need to decide: do you run back and kind of go back into position, or do I select? Now I knew realistically there's only one person to pass to, is this guy, so I selected my CDM, and my first impression was just cut the passing lane. So cut the passing lane. I cut the passing lane. Again, next thing I'm thinking, okay, that's the next danger man. Allen's kind of got him, so again I cut the next passing lane, and as I taught you in the previous tutorials, I got the ball very simple. Again, very, very close, very slow. Now here in another attacking situation here, now you see here, get the ball here. Now the reason why Bernard is making that run forward, you know why? It's not because I pressed L1, it's because his actual instruction is on getting behind. So because his instructions on getting behind, I'm playing a 4-2-3-1. My left mid instruction is getting behind, so that's why he's making him running behind. I tried to play the pass to him. As you can see, this is one of the animation issues that the game has. I didn't intend for that pass to go the way it did. Just the game happened that way. Sorry, the game, because Nedved has a 5-star weak foot, what should have happened in actual fact is that he should have made a driven pass with his left foot down the wing, which is what I asked him to do. But for some reason, he decides to toe punt it with his right foot, something which I never know why is programmed in the game. But end up losing the ball in the end. But anyway, we're just going to stop the video there because it's only 19 minutes in, and we have gone through almost 45 minutes of gameplay. But anyway, I hope you're looking forward to these walkthroughs. I'll continue this walkthrough in the next video just to give you some more tips. As I said, we're going to go through L1 player triggering, and we're going to go through dribbling, all types of passing. But I just wanted to give you a preliminary of kind of what's kind of the thought process first, because I thought this might be the best way of going about it. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this video so far. Don't think I want to upload anything until New Year. Just collating still some footage, and my wrist is still not on the best side. So right now, for example, I'm doing this with my left hand. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. If you do have any other questions, of course, let me know on Discord. Thank you very much for watching. Take it easy, boys, and I'll catch you next time.